It's going live soon.
Wow, that's amazing, guys. I love his animation.
Welcome back to another edition of NFA, the segment here at Whale where we discuss different investing aspects of the NFT space.
Mhm.
As the name suggests, this is not financial advice. Again, I want to reiterate that this is not financial advice, and there is no substitute for doing your own research. For those of you new to the community, I'm your host, Ilus Cavilla, and I am a recovering TradFi professional. I have a background in capital markets where I spent over 15 years. In today's edition of NFA, we have Zoop, the COO and co-founder of Non-Fungibles, joining us again. Again, Zoop, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I mean, that's always a pleasure to be there, guys. So,
Well, we're always happy to have you. Since we last spoke, you mentioned that you would have the yearly report out as well as a new website.
mhm.
Would you like to take a few moments to update us as to where we stand?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've mentioned that almost a month ago, 2 weeks ago. I don't remember, but yeah, it was a while ago. And yeah, I mean, actually, the thing is that, these things actually exist. I mean, this is basically the report we have been working on for almost 4 months. I mean, yeah, we've counted, we've basically spent almost 1,000 hours working on this report.
Oh,
And
man,
to
it
be
must be a
honest,
doozy. How many pages? It seems like one thick report.
that's exactly 188 pages. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I don't want to spoil you, but yeah, we've been really, really. Gosh, to be honest, I'm just so excited to just, yeah, everyone will be able to get one physical copy of that. And we get a lot of questions about why, a physical one, why a book and not an NFT like everyone else. Is because basically this report is not only meant for people in the NFT space. This report is really meant for everyone that is just curious about what's going on. What we've gathered here, and we got an interview from Whale as well, including other large stakeholders, is really we try to give a sense of what are the trends, what is really at stake in the NFT industry, and the name of the report is basically how NFTs are basically changing the world. And we definitely think that NFTs are changing the world from an economical, financial, social point of view. Everything is getting impacted by NFTs one way or another. So
So
yeah,
I haven't seen the report yet, but if NFTs are like, if this is meant for consumption outside the NFT community, are you making, is there like a sort of like an editorial piece or an article in there where you make that case for NFTs for the non-natives?
absolutely. Basically, we have a little more than 10 pages, basically to introduce what are NFTs, what are the main use case, what are the, and what is the vocabulary. We have 5 pages of glossary just to help everyone just, enter the ecosystem. Because when you are talking about HODL, about a whale, about NFT tokenization, about blockchain, I mean, everything is like Chinese for so many people. So sorry, but I know there are some Chinese people in the community, but it's like really a really complex language for so many people. So yeah, we really try to make that as accessible as possible to everyone. So And we do have a lot of metrics that we have really crafted for this report that, to be honest, we have never seen anywhere else in the industry about, the profit, the loss, the global trends about what is the average rate of non-profitable resale, these kind of things. So even if, once again, it's no financial advice, you can just get a notion of where people are currently losing money in the NFT space. So of course, that will be your responsibility to do all your own research and decide if you want to purchase or invest in something. But at the end of the day, you can get a sense of what's going on per segment.
Interesting. So you said that these are new analyses and matrices that you haven't used before. Did you find anything sort of not necessarily just thought provoking, but anything surprising as a consequence of that?
It's not really surprising, to be honest. I mean, yeah, we have been surprised by some metrics about the global profit on certain segments. If I get you an example, for in the gaming segment, for example, we have seen a crazy amount of volume in terms of USD traded, about 5 billion, if I'm not mistaken, um, and the profit is not crazy. In the gaming segment, the total profit is of about 600 million over the year, mostly on Axie Infinity, because yeah, that's definitely been a huge thing over the past year. And gaming is the only segment in the NFT industry where we have identified more active wallets than holders at the end of a year. So what it means is that a lot of wallets have been active, but were basically completely dried out at the end of a year. And you can explain that only with a concept of scholarship. Because I personally had scholars, and basically I had up to 8 scholars at some point, and on these accounts, these these accounts are now completely empty just because I stopped the scholarship for some reasons. So that's the kind of situation where you can have more active wallets than holders at the end of the year.
So how does that translate to insight for the average NFT user or investor? That's an interesting observation, but what are the implications and ramifications for us?
So what it means basically is that's that's a proof, a signal that even if Axie Infinity had a crazy success over the past year, w- a lot of people basically dropped the game. So that's basically my conclusion on that is that Axie Infinity is still really experimental. They are exploring a huge gold mine, but they're experimental. And over the past year, they didn't succeed in convincing all these players to stay. And what we've seen is that a lot of players, maybe most of the players, just stopped the game because they entered not for the right reasons. A lot of players just entered to make quick money, and when they discovered that it was not possible to make quick money and that the play to earn system was not perfect yet, they just dropped. So
Okay, so that's an interesting take. Does that mean that it is a leading or lagging indicator for the viability of a project going forward? Have you looked at this beyond Axie and at other platforms?
so for now, that's the only example we had of such a behavior or such a visible behavior of people basically leaving, but somehow leaving the project. Basically Axie just went from, I don't know exactly, but something like 200,000 users to 5 million, and now maybe there are something like 2 million. So at the end of the day, it's definitely a huge growth, but that's the only one example we have of something that massive. Um, on the other end, what we've seen on another segment is on art, where basically we don't have that much people. It's about 100,000 people basically active in the art segment, but for crazy amount of profit, basically about 1 billion in profit, which is just incredible.
Okay, so I'd be very interested to see if that dynamic you mentioned for Axie starts cropping up more and whether or not there will be a correlation to a price move. Again, it's not financial advice. I'm just kind of curious to see what happens because, as you mentioned, it's one data point. And from my time
Mhm.
in finance, I can't tell you how many times I heard one data point does not make a trend.
Yep. No, that's a good point. And for Axie Infinity, you have a lot of different indicators that basically, honestly, say globally the same thing. Is that the average price of SLP decreased, the average price of an Axie decreased, and so many different indicators that prove that the model let's say, basically the model get tired of the past of by the end of 2021. So.
Okay.
Mm.
So the model might be getting tired. Are there any other sort of data points that you see that don't fit that narrative?
Yeah, I mean, I just have to. I mean, to be completely honest, I don't. There are so many different metrics in this report, so I sometimes, forget some of them. No, I mean, we've identified in. I'd have to double check this metric, but in a segment, we've basically identified at the end of a year that there was more, basically more sales, non-profitable sales than profitable sales. So basically, it means that people were just leaving that segment like really quickly, and it's in the gaming segment. So I'll just show you. Sorry, this one is in French, but I think the chart can still be understood. So basically,
I can translate it if we need to. Don't worry about that.
hey, you can maybe. Okay, do you speak French? Oh yeah,
I
you do.
do.
So basically, what you get there, so you get this red line, orange one, and the blue one. And so basically, what you see here, sorry, my thumb, okay. So what you see there, sorry guys, is that at the end of the year, so here, you get less profitable sales than non-profitable sales. So people are basically dropping the assets, whatever the price, even if it's for the cheaper price.
Have you looked at understanding if that correlates with stress in the overall market? That it might be people liquidating because they have a margin squeeze elsewhere?
Um, yeah, there is something that you don't see in data, but that is really interesting, which is more about why people invest and how they invest and how much they invest. And so what we have identified, and some of our polls confirmed that, is the newcomers consider themselves as investors. And they basically put money, and way too much money, more than they can basically afford to lose. So the thing is that the market is really, really volatile. Specifically at the end of 2021, the market was extremely volatile. So basically, after a couple of days, a couple of weeks or days, they just went uncomfortable and they resold the asset just because they were expecting to 10x in 2 days. But it's not always the case. You don't always 10x. Sometimes you just lose money. So I think that what we've seen in the gaming segment, I mean, we've seen basically some comparable trends at the end of the year, but not that much. On the other segments, basically, it was still profitable, but just a little less. So yeah, I think the type of people investing money was just different, and the type of risk was different too.
So drilling down on that comment, to identify if it's new or joiners, did you compare the data points? Like, did you correlate or run a regression on the number of unprofitable sales to the age of the wallet?
Mm, but to be honest, no, that's an interesting one. No, we haven't run this analysis. We do have a couple of metrics with a poll we've run a couple of months ago. So we had something like 400 answers from people in the NFT industry. And the thing is that we've been really impressed by how many people entered the space in 2021. And it's I don't remember exactly, but something like at least half of the people that answered the poll were basically newcomers and arrived in over the past few months. So of course, when you arrive in something which really looks like a gold rush, you don't really have really the maturity to take the right decision.
So it seems like that it's an issue of like basically we're sitting here observing that and recognizing that not everything is a 10x and you got to be cautious versus the new joiners that are just kind of pursuing or chasing returns. And if anything in my time in finance said past performance doesn't kind of guarantee or predict future results.
Yeah.
So it seems like they just need to go through that learning curve.
Yeah. And the thing is that, just like in a gold rush, you learn that the hard way. So is there anything we can do about it? Yeah, we can educate, just like we are doing right now. We can just, tell everyone that no, it's not that easy. That's definitely a lot of opportunity, but a lot of people, are just taking too much risk.
Well, just from my perspective, I'd also be curious. So, one, I'd be curious to know that comparison between the number of unprofitable losses to the age of the wallets.
Hmm.
I'd be very curious to see that, and be
Makes sense.
happy to work with you on that. But I'd also be curious to see if after periods of unprofitable sales, if those wallets go dormant. So almost like an indicator if people exited the space. I don't know if that would be valuable or not.
So that's a good question too. We don't have this one either, but we definitely have identified that we had a huge peak in terms of activity, in terms of volume of active wallets over the years. So that's definitely something you'll find in the report. And basically, even if they get dormant, we don't know if they won't come back in a couple of days or weeks or something like that. So, or maybe the people just change of wallet. A
No,
lot of people got different wallets. But what we've seen is that, definitely we had way, way less active wallets at the end of the year compared to August.
okay, that's interesting. So when will we be able to see this report? Because I see that you have it, and I really want to get my hands on it and start digging into it.
So basically, so the report, the official report, will be live and for sale, or there will be a free version too, on the 10th of March. So basically next Thursday.
So a week from today.
Exactly, a week from today. And the cool thing is that you won't be able to get it from our current website. You will be able to get it from our brand new website that will be live by then.
Okay.
So I can't commit if a new website is going to be live on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. But the thing is that on Thursday you will be able to purchase or to get the free one from a brand new website with a brand new logo and brand
Okay.
new everything.
So basically, Thursday is the drop date for the report, as well as the drop dead site website a live date. So two things going live at the minimum. That's
Uh,
exciting.
yeah, I mean that's a lot of risk too. But yeah, I mean the website should be live a couple of days
Right,
before.
well, you just committed it to all of our audience, so you
I
better
know,
have it
right?
ready. You just committed to it.
I mean,
Um,
I've committed to a lot of people, to be honest.
oh, we're the most important ones.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, because we have been working with you for more than 2 years. We are almost family, guys.
No, exactly. At least I view you as part of the family. Um, so, given that you have this rich report and you have this rich visibility into what happened last year, what in your mind has been a surprising development over the past 2 months relative to where we ended the year? So, what's an emerging trend that you're seeing now?
I mean, maybe that's a little too soon to say exactly how 2022 is going to look like. But the thing is that we've kind of seen some sort of a stabilization, actually, of the market over the past few months. Um, we just extracted some data right before, and you know, some people were expecting basically something like a bubble burst. Some were expecting more, an exponential growth. But the thing is that we still have a really massive volume. So basically, right now, in terms of weekly volume, we have an average of, wow, that's crazy. Um, Everything included, I mean, including DeFi and everything in terms of NFT on the Ethereum blockchain and running, we got about 1.5 billion traded every week.
So,
And also, go ahead.
1.5 billion US dollar notional value traded every week.
Yeah,
That's a massive number.
that's a massive number. Just to give you a sense, last year, the global volume, including, I mean, not only, I've said, there are two ways to monitor NFTs. In this report, we have a volume of about 18 billion. These 18 billion are only for qualified volume. So basically, it means that we know which project it is. We know that it's not wash trading, it's not just bots playing together or this kind of stuff. It's just not just a test. And that excludes the volume of Uniswap, because Uniswap is using NFTs for as collateral, which is a really different use case. So in this report, we have considered volume between basically two wallets really trading, buying or selling an asset, not collaterals and this kind of complex DeFi use case. So 15 billion total volume last year. Right now, we have an average volume of 1.5 billion every week. So we are, basically on the same high level threshold. It's not a huge exponential growth. We are basically between 1.7 billion and 1.2 billion right now. It's really pretty flat, actually.
Those are just some massive numbers. It just goes to show
Yeah.
exactly how fast the space is growing. And
And
we've got a question from the
yeah.
community that it's just the right time to drop it in here. Are those numbers the aggregate market value inclusive of all chains or just specific chains?
So yeah, that's a good question. Now, for now, this is for running. This is running, Flow, and Ethereum. We are currently working on supporting these other chains, including Tezos, Solana, and others. That's a huge challenge, honestly, to keep up with all these new chains, because not that much is standardized, and sometimes you just need to have a crazy firepower with 8 nodes to support a single chain. I mean, Ethereum is really optimized compared to other chains.
But still, even if you start aggregating the other chains that are not representative, that number has to be a lot higher. Just goes to show how
Uh,
just the magnitude.
Not necessarily, honestly. So we do have some insights about what's going on the other chains, including Solana, Tezos, and others. And it really looks like Ethereum is still really the bulk of the largest part of the cake. So no precise metric here, but I really think that Ethereum is still between 85 to 90% of the entire NFT space.
85 to 95% is still on Ethereum.
I definitely think so. I mean, honestly, you don't have something comparable to CryptoPunks or Bored Ape or Sandbox or Decentraland. You have nothing like that on these other chains. Even if you see more and more projects popping here and there, maybe I think we may be missing something like maybe we are missing 1 billion over the past year, something like that. Honestly, that's my feeling.
Okay. So, given that we were having this discussion between art, or rather, you mentioned art as a segment earlier when you were comparing it to gaming assets like the Axes. One member of the community asked, "How is art defined? Is it anything that's not PFP, not gaming, or is there a specific definition you have in mind when you qualify something as art?"
That's a tricky one. So
Hey,
I
it's your
can
category.
I mean that's my category, but I would say that is our decision, and definitely not everyone agrees with this one, because that's a really there is a blurred line between art and collectibles. So we've decided to exclude every PFP, and to exclude every 10,000 something from the art segment. So for that reason, we've considered CryptoPunks and Bored Apes as collectibles. I know that Sotheby's will tell you that it's art. We consider them as collectibles. And so basically, you can get a sense in the report of, you have a distribution per segment of a different project and the size of each project. So both apes and CryptoPunks are super massive in the collectible segment. In terms of art, basically our definition is that it's any kind of asset that has been created with an artistic vocation, which has meant to be basically part of this art movement. So when you see 10,000 something, which is basically a copycat of something that has been published a couple of weeks or months previously, No, we don't consider that as art. It's basically just meant. It's a collectible.
So maybe I missed the nuance, but
I'm sorry.
are Bored Apes and CryptoPunks considered art?
No, no
Okay.
collectibles. We consider
Okay.
them as
Just
collectibles.
want to make sure because when you said that the others that are based off of this sort of project are collectibles, I wanted to make sure that
No,
it's
sorry.
clear that you're considering these as collectibles as well.
Hmm.
Um, Given that a lot of these art projects have creator royalties involved, is there a way to quantify 2021's creator royalty dollar volume?
I mean, it's not impossible. It's super tricky. It's not something we got. It's something that is possible to calculate because basically for each transaction we have the volume of fees. The question is more how have these fees been distributed between the marketplace, between the and the artist. So I think that we'll definitely have to double check. We'll have to double check on each marketplace how fees are basically organized, if everything is handled by the smart contract, or how the smart contract is handling fees on each art marketplace.
Understood. So given that it's a little nebulous, I assume that's also hard to establish what the average royalty rate is, given that you have to disentangle so many pieces.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The I've, from what I know, the average rate is at around 5%. Most artists basically put around 5% of royalty fees.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and the fact that the creator royalties are often declared on the contracts, there's no real easy way to scrape it and identify what the volume was last year.
Um, yeah, I mean, you probably know I'm not the most technical guy in the room, so I don't want to tell you something stupid about how
Okay.
smart
Well,
contracts.
maybe you can follow up with one of your
Yeah,
technical
yeah,
guys and see if they can get an answer for us. No,
definitely.
don't worry. I've written that down as something to ask you next month.
Okay, okay, sounds good.
Don't worry, I won't forget. So for those listening in the community, I got you. Um,
Awesome.
One other thing that came up from the community just now is they're curious if the NFT and crypto stabilization is tied to NFTs being traded more in contextual ancillary blockchains than in the main nets.
I don't know if that's linked to that. No, but basically, you mean that the stabilization is meant is due to the use of side chains and other chains, right?
That's the way I'm interpreting the question as well. It
Yeah,
seems to me, if my interpretation of the question, if I can try and restate it, and whoever asked the question in the community, if you could just kind of chime in if we're
side chains.
thinking it incorrectly, it seems that they're identifying, I guess, more stabilization. I'm interpreting that as less volatility, or at least a reduction of volatility in the NFT crypto
Hmm.
space right now, having to do with divergence off of or more adoption and going into side chains and layer twos or other chains, as opposed to just staying on the main net. And yeah, they just confirmed that that is what they meant.
Yeah, yeah, side chains. No, I feel like yeah, no. I mean, I don't think this has an impact um, on the stabilization of prices and even on volatility because fees are not crazy for everyone. I mean, when you purchase a CryptoPunk at 500,000, you don't really care to pay a couple of hundreds in fees. So, of course, when you are trading small, low-value assets, that's definitely playing a huge role. So, we've seen a lot of volatility on so many different assets, from the lowest value to the highest value. So, I really think that this stabilization is mostly due to we are at a turning point. We have new people in the space. Everyone has learned a lot about with what happened last year, and I think that the ecosystem is way more mature than it was 6 months ago. So even if we'll continue to see, this crazy hype with new projects, with uh, hundreds of thousands of people just running on a project because it sounds hype. We'll continue to see that, but I think and I hope that we'll see less and less of that, and we may see less. Let's call that market manipulation, or this uh, this play of influence and power on social media just to try to pump the bags of pretty big collectors. So no, I think this stabilization is mostly due to more maturity, maybe a little less speculation, and yeah, maybe it's a little healthier, I guess.
So, given that we have seen the maturation, I also noticed in the Whale Vault report that you mentioned that as far as the methodology, you
Mhm.
excluded the looks rare marketplace because of the concerns on wash trading. Is
Yep.
that really a major concern? Because it seems to me that it got a lot of headlines, but I haven't actually seen any data that really validates that that almost all volume was wash trading. Wondering if you have that accessible, or what you saw that points to really excluding everything on LooksRare, because I am aware that certain people in my network did use LookRare to purchase or sell one-off items. So I want to I want to challenge in essence that by excluding everything that you're not also excluding some valid signals.
I mean, that's a good one. We have been excluding Rarible for a while because of wash trading. And now it really looks like they've done a huge effort on that. And so, yeah, it's definitely something that looks like has stopped on Rarible. And now on LooksRare, it's not that we have something like a doubt or a sense that there may be some wash trading. It was really obvious when basically LooksRare went live, and we've seen all these um, trades of, it was Meebits firstly, with crazy prices, and basically the two same wallets trading the same Meebits every day or every hour. But there was definitely obvious wash trading for the exact same reason that there was wash trading on Rarible. Is because you get paid, you get a reward if you trade a lot. If you trade high volume, if you trade a lot, you get a reward. Of course, that's an incentive to wash trade.
No,
So,
agreed.
uh, so of course, that's a fact. Some legit volume get excluded too. But the thing is that as we have identified extremely complex patterns in our report about wash trading last year, we know that wash trading is not only about excluding two people to wallets getting back and forth with a single asset. Sometimes it's about 10 to 20 people just trading assets together in a really complex patterns of a certain dates, time, this kind of thing. So instead of just trying to chase all these complex wash trading patterns, we know that this system is basically incentivizing people to trade a lot. So uh, even if we don't have exact figures about what is legit, what is not, we don't want to advertise to get in our metrics, figures, and everything, fake volume and fake figures. For Meebits, honestly, that was just crazy. With or without looks rare, the value is basically 10x. So
Okay. No, I mean that's fair and prudent. I'm just wondering if at some point there might be either an AI or machine learning algorithm that can strip it out. Just
yeah.
because if there, I mean, I can envision a situation where the marketplace gets still has wash trading, but gets more adoption, and at that point you start excluding some legitimate signals. And I don't know that it'll ever be meaningful enough relative to the wash trading in terms of size and volume,
Mhm.
but it could still be directionally interesting as part of that sort of information mosaic across marketplaces.
Mhm. Yeah, to be completely honest, that's definitely something that we have on our roadmap, is to be able to automate that and to be able to exclude automatically any kind of wash trading when we identify some. We know that the better we'll get, the clever what traders will become, because it's always
Yeah, exactly. It's an arms race.
exactly. But yeah.
Okay, cool. So I also got this other question from the community. So it seems, I'm just going to read it verbatim. It seems the macro cryptocurrency trading market is leaning in on metaverse adjacent tokens as focus with upside for investment. Will this attention manifest in any way on the associated NFT assets themselves? So if I could summarize, the question is the market seems to be buying tokens associated with the metaverse. Will that then have a spillover onto the NFTs in those metaverses?
Mm-hmm.
In your view?
That's a good question. Yeah. No, sorry, just have to think a little bit about this one. Yeah. The thing is that metaverses is a segment that get hype really recently. So a lot of these newcomers in the metaverse industry segment are basically interested in the entire concept, from the crypto to the NFTs. So in that case, the attention toward the asset, the cryptocurrency, is definitely related to the attention to the NFT. So I don't think that the increase of value of the cryptocurrency impacts the NFT directly. I think that both are really strongly related. NFTs get more and more autonomous, and we've seen a direct correlation between the value of cryptocurrency and the value of NFTs over 2021. But it's different for metaverses, because in the case of the Sandbox, Decentraland, both have their own crypto, and both have assets that you can purchase mostly with their crypto. So I think that with or without Sand, the value of parcels in the Sandbox will have increased drastically in terms of value. Does that answer the question? Not sure.
Yeah, I think it answers the question. If I might provide my perspective, I don't necessarily know that there will be a direct correlation, and having those utility functions, like you mentioned, being able to buy in the native token will be important to try to drive that correlation. I mentally, I'm thinking about it almost like in traditional markets, if you're buying a REIT, so the real estate investment trust, just because the price of the REIT goes up doesn't necessarily mean that the price of the underlying properties is going up.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
yeah, so to me, it could be that there's a dislocation in the market and the traders move to what they view as the next trend, and you could have divergence between the value of the underlying. And
Yeah. Oh, sorry, good.
no, I was just saying, and just the instrument that they're using to trade. So to me, I don't necessarily see that the correlation is one for one, or that there is a strong association, unless you have those utility functions like you mentioned in the case of Sandbox and Decentraland.
hmm And I think that there is something else to take into account. Is it's probably not the same kind of people that are trading sand and that are trading land, because the price is extremely different, and not everyone is able to purchase the land, but basically almost everyone is able to purchase sand or mana.
Yeah.
So if you are not able to get 10 or 20,000 to invest into a parcel, which is definitely not everyone, you'll be basically playing with sand, and you may be trading this cryptocurrency every day, and just start with 10 bucks and more. So I think that we'll see a lot of volatility.
Yep. I guess your headset died. Yep, there you are.
Sorry, guys. So yeah, I think we'll definitely see way more volatility on the cryptocurrency side of things rather than on the NFT market.
Yeah, that makes sense. A couple other questions that came in. I just want to be mindful of time. So, one of them is, what do you see as potential catalysts on the horizon for this year for the next parabolic run? So it's a little bit of a market forecasting question here.
So if you want to get rich, no, just kidding.
Again, this is not financial advice, NFA,
Yeah,
and do your own research,
absolutely,
BYOR.
definitely. No, I mean, I'm personally pretty bullish since almost day one on the utilities segment. I definitely think that there is something totally underestimated today with the use of NFTs as ticketing, NFTs as domain names, NFTs as and mostly, and it's really a deep conviction I have is that NFTs will get mainstream when you won't know you get an NFT, when you'll basically be able to use them in your everyday life, when your tickets, your fidelity points at your local store will be NFTs or something like that. So I definitely think that there is something huge to expect from that. When you'll be attending a sport event, you'll get an NFT. You'll enter the arena with an NFT. So I definitely think there is something extremely massive to expect here. I don't know if it's going to be in 2022, I guess. But basically art is extremely mature. I think art is really, really big, but I think that will take some time to, it will grow steadily. Art will grow steadily, in my feeling. Um, Gaming may be surprising. We've seen a crazy boom with Axie Infinity. It's possible that they just get a round two this year with a new crazy update, or other games just proposing something, comparable but even better. Who knows? Um, so yeah, that's basically what I see.
Okay. Um,
You may be surprised that I even mentioned metaverses. Is even if everyone is talking about metaverses these days, the thing is that the price just skyrocketed that much. I'm not saying it's a bubble, but I definitely think that yeah, price skyrocketed maybe a little too much too fast. So and now what we have is basically a situation where a lot of people are not able to purchase these parcels. So it's basically a play between wealthy guys now.
a play between wealthy guys. Well, somehow you just kind of conjured an image of in my head of wealthy individuals in the British countryside hunting something. I don't know. All right, so just another very good question that came through. Um, some people have expressed concern that the influx of creators and supply will outpace demand and trade consumers down in a race to the bottom. In that scenario, what NFTs will be strongholds value? And can increased category awareness and market penetration via onboarding still offset this proliferation?
Actually, that already happened. 2021 has been completely saturated. The market went completely overwhelmed by new assets, mostly in August, basically during the summer. I'm sorry, I'll just look for the exact metrics, not to say stupid things about it. But yeah, the market just get completely overwhelmed by the proliferation of new assets. So, yeah, this is the volume of new assets. Blah blah blah. Average. I know. Okay, so basically, we get up to 3 million new NFTs issued every month between August, September, and October, which is absolutely crazy. Um, Specifically compared to to the complete, to the total supply. So, what we've seen after that, after August, basically, is that um, price skyrocketed. Everyone was like, okay, that's a gold rush, so we can make money. So everyone was like, okay, let's create as many NFTs as we can. Let's create 10,000 something, and we'll see if we can make money with that. And the thing is that the market has a certain ability to absorb this volume, this supply. So what we've seen is that and I think most of you guys have experienced that, you may have purchased something considering that it was a new Bored Apes, but it was not for a lot of reasons. And these things happen. So what happens is that yeah, most of these collections will die one way or another. But they won't die. They will freeze basically. So it just means that, yeah, there will just be no trades with them. But if you are happy with your asset and you just want to use your fake Bored Ape or whatever it is as a PFP, you can. It's not dead. It's just that there is no, trading value for it. It's no big deal. So what NFT will stronghold of value? I would say, and that's a trick one, the original one, the one with, let's say, genuine intention to bring value, the one that were not meant to basically be a cash grab. So, that's why I'm really in love with CryptoPunks. I don't own any, unfortunately, but that's because when they have been created, it was not like, hey guys, we're going to make money. They made no money with it. They basically offered them, and it was purely experimental. And it was at a time when it was funny. It was really to create something. Decentraland, the Sandbox, and other projects, this metaverse project, they are really meant to build something. They are not a cash grab. These guys have worked so much, so hard to build something. Axie Infinity is not a cash grab. They've worked since 2018 on a really complex mechanism, and they are still fine-tuning and working really hard to build something. So these kind of projects are some sort of a stronghold of value for me. Even if the price of an Axie went from 300 to 30 USD, okay, the price decreased, but that's still worth something. And there is a game. There is a really cool game on top of that. So same for art. All the artists that really are passionate about what they do, all the artists that really have a project, a vision, and that are not just throwing artworks every day, like just, hey, take my stuff. I mean, yeah, these are some sort of a stronghold of value. And if you really are passionate, if you are in love with artworks, and I think Wellshark would give the same advice, just follow your feeling. And you should not care about what is the current price of the artwork, or if a price decrease over the next few months. Okay, I mean, just hold long term.
So just, I think we can probably round out with the following two questions. I'll ask the second one first because it's a little tongue in cheek. So how many Kevins should I buy so I can retire to Madeira?
How many Kevins? What?
Have you
Sorry?
seen that meme going around?
Oh
Actually, the
yeah.
project and then became a meme after the project had its, let's call it the lackluster reveal.
Yep. I mean, buy whatever you can. I mean, and as fast as you can. Put all your money. No, just kidding.
Again,
No, no idea.
NFA, if you follow Zoop's advice, that's on you.
No, absolutely. I'm really just kidding. No, I mean, I think, yeah, maybe just a serious advice on that. Diversify, but measure your risk and diversify. And don't, I don't know if there's an English expression for that, but don't put all your eggs in the same
Yeah, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, that's this one. Don't do that.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so last question, and I'm saving this one for last because I think it'll probably be a little bit more nuanced.
Okay.
What is your characterization of the current state of audio NFTs? They are intriguing value propositions, but many feel there needs to be clarity on how to drive secondary market activity to appeal to broader collector base.
Yeah. Audio is a real challenge. And yeah, I haven't mentioned that, but I definitely think there is something super interesting to explore at the intersection between audio, music, and NFTs. We have worked with a project a couple of months ago, but it sounds like maybe they will not make it for some reasons. So, but yeah, we do have a little bit of background on that, and there are different use cases to basically own the rights or own the music or really own something physical as a singer or something. And there is the use that we make of music, but basically we just we don't really own the music, or we may own a CD or something like that. So there is basically different use between enjoying the song and owning actually something like rights by the song. I think, and from what I've seen, that's an extremely complex industry. And that's funny because this majors are basically trying to enter the NFT industry, considering that there is a place to take. There is definitely a place to take, but not for them. My feeling is that if something happens at the intersection between music and NFTs, that will be probably the end of these majors, or at least I hope so. So, yeah, I don't have the perfect answer. I think there is a lot of experiments to make here. So maybe my advice would be extremely, extremely prudent if you're willing to invest into any project related to music, because that's a really complex ecosystem. There's a lot of use case, there's a lot of competition. I know there's a lot of projects working on that right now. So yeah, maybe try to read as much as you can about what are the best practices and about the white papers. Because to be honest, when I've read my first white paper about a project like that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's absolutely amazing. That's basically a revolution. But no, basically there was so many missing points that I didn't know of, just because you really have to get some skin into the industry to really know what can be game changing for the music industry.
Is that the reason why you said that it's a challenging one, because the nuance involved, or is there something else that we're not considering?
No, mostly because all the mechanism, all the fee redistribution, about what it implies to actually own something. There is different kind of ownership between the major has some rights, the creator has some rights, the singer has some rights. So there is basically a lot of different rights with different model of distribution of fees. So that's something you have to really know about. And you know what? I'm not sure that the current model with a major is a good one. So I think that if something really interesting occurs with NFTs and music, that may be something completely new, something that we have never seen before, never thought of before. And that's definitely why I'm really passionate about NFTs, to be honest.
Okay, great. So last question to round us out, and again, thank you so much for all the time today and all the context and clarity you've provided. But you mentioned earlier diversification and don't put all your eggs in one basket. But in order to build that diversified portfolio, but like one that actually has longevity, that can weather the elements and kind of be there for like the long term, what would you characterize as the segments required?
Basically, the different segments we analyze, and I think that's maybe not perfect, but a good overview. So you have, basically metaverses, collectibles, gaming, utilities. In utilities, we have domain names, we have ticketing, we have these kind of things, social use case, and so on. Art, we have art. So I think that with these different segments, you have different levels. Within each segment, you have basically the new projects, like, for example, Kevin's in collectibles, and you have the OG assets, like basically CryptoVoxel, which is really underestimated, is basically one of these OG assets. Where okay, you may consider that, but that's a decent risk. I don't know. I have no idea if it's a decent risk or not, but you may consider it is, because it's a project that has been launched almost 4 years ago, that has a solid value proposition. So why not? Or you may consider that no one will ever pay attention to CryptoVoxels. I don't know. So I think that's basically a mix of new promising risky assets, some pretty, not risky or long-term assets like, let's say, CryptoPunks. That's one of them for me. And basically getting a little bit of, collectibles, metaverses, art, a different kind of art. Let's say that generative art crashed tomorrow for some reasons, not focus on, only on that. I would say that, let's say, a financial vision of things, but you may only basically follow your instinct. That's always risky. And I'm not the financial guy here, so I'll let you
Well, that's assuming my instinct is on point. I don't necessarily know that that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. But I know. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, and Will Shark may confirm that, but basically, it's always a combination of your feeling like, okay, I think there is something here. So you explore, you deep dive into this one. And after you, of course, have to get something like a due diligence process to monitor the risk, to see if there is something of value here or not.
Yeah. No, so it seems like it's an instinctual plus a more rigorous base assessment in conjunction, or how
Definitely.
you recommend it. But the categories, if I can summarize them, were metaverses, collectibles, gaming, utility, and art.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. And sorry, just one last thing about that. These categories will change really definitely in the next few months or years, because we see so many new use cases. Basically, utilities is basically others, because you have ticketing that may definitely become a segment in itself. Domain names may become a segment. It's pretty tiny for now. Same for within art. You may have photography. You may have art, audio, music can become a segment too.
Okay. So it's basically as if there were an index out there. You're buying the individual components, but would you weight them either equally across those categories, or would you weight them by their market size segment?
No, I would weight them according to my feeling. Honestly, I
Okay.
mean that's definitely how I would do that. I mean, if I, you know, for some reasons you may be more passionate about metaverse, and if you are passionate about metaverse and not art, uh, don't really try to go into art. If you're really into it, you will be extremely good at gathering information about uh, keeping up with what's going on into the metaverse segment. If you hate art and you really just want to invest into something you don't like, you will be bad at it. You will really have a hard time every day just finding information on Twitter, on social media about what's going on. So yeah, do something that you like and invest into something that you're comfortable with.
Okay. Well, that's I think a good way to close it out for today. Once again, thank you for joining us. As always, a very interesting and insightful session. And on that note, I will wish you and the community and all the listeners a great rest of the day. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much, everyone.